Welcome once again to Liberec and indeed the Vesec cross-country stadium, where a smashing crowd has gathered here for the women's 30-kilometre freestyle. It really does feel like a championship. Crowded stands, crowded tracks, lots of encouragement around. And well, this was a bit earlier actually, before the race got underway, but I can tell you now it's a pretty packed arena. And alongside myself, David Goldstrom, here's Mike Dixon with the journey ahead of the world's best women racers.
Well, they're going out on the blue loop first, 3.75 kilometre, and you see the undulations there. They are huge, with all these technical bends as well. So first lap round the blue, 3.75, into the stadium, back out again, but this time onto the yellow profile, which is slightly easier, except this mammoth climb, 48 metres in total climb on that single climb alone. So a testing course with a total climb of 1,048 metres.
And as you can see from that air temperature and the snow temperature at 0, it is a warm morning into the afternoon now. And as a result of that, Jörg Kapol, the director of the International Ski Federation's cross-country division, has had salt put out on the course. And his report just a few minutes before the off, which happened a few moments ago, was that it was in really hard and good condition, and he expected it to hold up right the way through to the end of the race. One important piece of news: Germany's Evie Sackenbacher forced to pull out this morning with some inflammation in her foot, and obviously that's a disappointment. And looking ahead to tomorrow's 50-kilometre race, Dario Cologna of Italy, the World Cup leader, the Swiss star, he's been forced to retire from the race tomorrow. He's just feeling the fatigue and is going to go home, rest up and try and retain his lead in the overall World Cup. But here's Mike with an update as they went through 3,750 metres, the end of the first loop, Mike.
Well, it's all about Finland, first, second and third, almost as if they're holding the field back. Muranen leading, followed by Saarinen, Ropinen in third, but less than a second separating all three of those.
Interesting with Pirjo Muranen up there. You don't associate 30-kilometre masс-starт, or indeed races over 30 kilometres, with Pirjo Muranen, because she first came to note back in 2001 when she was a 19-year-old winning the world sprint title. But as they get underway, let me bring you up to date now with how the bookmakers saw the race unfolding. Charlotte Kalla, a strong favourite at 7-4, and there was money overnight for Charlotte Kalla after her excellent display in the relay for Sweden, bringing them home into a bronze medal position. Kristen Styrer, who on the start line looked very relaxed, and she's on offer at 7-2, and the ever tough Justyna Kowalczyk, who opened up the championships with a gold medal in the 10-kilometre classic, she's on offer at 4-1. The heroine or queen of the snow so far, Aina-Kaisa Saarinen, with 3 golds and a bronze, well, she's on offer at 5-1, and just making her presence felt, Mike.
She certainly is. I'll tell you what, often we see in 30 kilometres the strategy is everyone not willing to push too hard in the first quarter. That's not the case here. Saarinen has really turned the pace up from 4 kilometres in, and it's stretching, it's hurting the field already.
And Mike, this tactic of aggressive racing right in the early part of the race, if we think ourselves back to the opening weekend when we had the 10 Classic for women, and also in the double pursuit, if you remember, Mike, the Finns have really used this tactic of really aggressive racing to break up the field, to cut down the numbers, and then, you know, put themselves in a much better position to manage the 3, 4, 5, 6 who might just put up with the pain and the burn and the lactic acid to stay with them.
Absolutely, and what have we got there? 5th place, the dark suit, of course, it's Justyna Kowalczyk. She always wants to lead, so clearly it's a fast pace right now, otherwise she'd be at the front. She's always untidy, she doesn't always take the best race line, but she has a great chance here today.
And of course this is the yellow loop, the loop that ultimately will be the last in the whole race. So Saarinen wearing 1 in the blue, and then tucked in behind there, number 8, that's the tiny compact figure of Teresa Johaug, and not far off the pace is Kristen Styrer, and you would expect Styrer to stalk for as long as she can. She's virtually shoulder to shoulder with Justyna Kowalczyk. I thought Ariana Follis, Mike, at 11-1, if she could also tuck in the sprint world champion, then her ability to move through the gears, if it comes down to a sprint in the last few hundred meters, might also count for something.
Yeah, absolutely. She's always going to be a threat. There she is, Ariana Follis. And she's played safe so far, never been much off the top three. But for me, there's Kala, very interesting. She's always been, since the start, 10th to 15th. Well, she's just moving a little forward now. Kala, she's running this sensibly. She's had all the advice from from Gundesvan downwards. So much experience in the Swedish team. She'll be moving to the front after about 15 kilometers, I think.
Yeah, I think a steady start is absolutely right, but what we have to remember about Charlotte Kalla is that it's actually young Charlotte Kalla. She's accomplished a huge amount in her 21 years, not least, of course, winning the Tour de Ski last year. But in a sense, Mike, that's, put pressure, or let's say it hasn't put pressure on her maybe, but it's actually raised expectations all the time that, she's just going to come in and win and win and win. And that can't possibly happen. But I was very encouraged by the way that she anchored the Swedish team home and almost got the silver, but absolutely got the bronze for the team.
Yeah, and the dangerous thing for all the rest of the racers in this pack is at the press conference later, Charlotte said, you know what, I felt so strong. She did have the fastest time over the 7.5. She had it, the 5 kilometers. And she was ahead of the next fastest by, I think it was 11 seconds. So she felt good. She said, I could keep pressing harder and harder and didn't feel the fatigue.
But she doesn't have, of course, the race pedigree of the 30-kilometer races. This, of course, is a mass-start freestyle race. And if we rewind a couple of years ago to Sapporo, the race was in classic style when Verpi Koitinen took the title from Kristin Styrer. Teresa Juhag was third, and Aino Kaiser Saarinen was in fourth place. But the last big 30-kilometer freestyle championship race was actually the Olympics in Torino, when Katarina Neumanova beat Julia Chapalova and Kowalczyk into third place. So the situation at the moment, still the Finns very much trying to command this race, but now you can see Kowalczyk going to the front, and that's interesting, Mike. Kowalczyk, who, as I said, was bronze medalist in the Olympic Games, but she still says that, her skating technique leaves something to be desired.
Yes, it does, and she's gone to the front now. She wasn't looking comfortable at all, taking the wider line on the corners, and now she's where she wants to be, comfortable at the front, as long as she doesn't overdo it.
So Kowalczyk, Aino Kaiser Saarinen just following her on the near side, wearing 8. That's Teresa Juhag and Kristin Styrer pretty close up there. 7 moving up through the field, that's Valentina Shevchenko. And I know, Mike, that you thought that Shevchenko might have a decent chance. She has got a bit of race form over this sort of distance.
Yes, Shevchenko, she's been there or thereabouts throughout this championships, but her very light, slender body weight over this 1,048 meter climb over the 30 kilometers, that must stand her in good stead.
Well, it's Teresa Juhag, bronze medalist in Sapporo over this distance, but of course that was in classic style, and just trying to steady things down. Got Kristin Styrer behind her as they come up this climb that ultimately brings them back into the stadium at 7.5 kilometers. And of this, a 30-kilometer freestyle test. And this could be the point, Mike, where we see a mass attack, if it is a large group, when we come to the very last leg.
Well, certainly at 6.45 kilometers, there were 21 in this top group, and there we are. There's a separation. I think there's only 18 now in the lead group.
So once again, the twists and turns here, and very much Indian file. Charlotte Kaller just going through there and just setting the pace, and from Kaller up to Juhaug, just 3 seconds. And this is really important today. You can see that coach's corridor there with the temperature well above zero. They'll need to take on drink and fluids regularly right the way through this trip. There's Mariana Longa. Haven't really talked about her, Mike. You can't really dismiss her completely for the simple reason that although obviously she's most effective as a classic racer, such is the improvement of her performance that ruling her out would be perhaps a little folly.
And given the fact that she spent so many hours in the summer on roller skis trying to develop a much more efficient technique, and that's largely based on extending her glide, the efficiency.
You can see Steyr, Kuitunen, and again Kuitunen, you make the same remark. I mean, Kuitunen's got bags of experience. She is technically the defending champion, although this is a freestyle race, but she can do the distance, there's no problem. And again, I thought, Mike, the best we've seen of Kuitunen was actually in the classic team sprint.
Yeah, she just looked so strong, and there was no movement in her body, and that's her strength, is her technique, especially classic, though struggling a little bit. Saarinen at the front, she's been performing at the highest end, exceeding all expectations. I think she's looking tired out there today, although she's still in the first three.
Well, when we had breakfast today, we were talking about how do you know when's the moment when it's going to come off, because nobody stays at that level. It could be now, it could be next weekend in Lahti when the World Cup resumes. You just simply don't know. The interesting thing about Kuitunen was she put an awful lot of effort into winning the Tour de Ski. Then she got a little bit sick, and she went out and when she came back, put in some hard training. There is a thought that actually she overtrained in that period trying to get back, and that has cost her just that edge. In other words, she's still pretty good, but she's not at the absolute form that she showed, for example, last year in the World Cup when people couldn't get near her.
She was head and shoulders above all of the rest last year. Not quite the case this year, and no Petra Maric in this race. She decided not to take part, and I think largely through to her performance on the Tour de Ski. She put in so much during the Tour de Ski, then over to Canada, and eventually that catches up with you. You need some recovery after so many days of intense racing.
And just having a look here at the Russian positions, I just saw Julia Chapalova going through at about 13 seconds off the pace. Couldn't believe it, actually. Julia, who won the Olympic 30 kilometers freestyle gold medal back in 1998, and she was on offer at 66-1, and that's not a very good looking Kuitunen.
29 seconds behind, David. She's hurting at this stage in the race. That's got to be worrying. Look at this, tripping, interfering, ski poles, I think pulled out of the hands there of Kristoffersen.
Through 9.1 kilometers, and it's Saarinen up front, Shevchenko close up, Longa there, Confortola and Juhaug and Ariana Follis were all within a couple of seconds. Also the Finnish freestyle expert Riitta-Liisa Ropponen, Christine Steyr and Laurent Philippot. Savialova, Mike, quite interesting. We were talking about championship races, and Savialova, the last woman to win a world title in freestyle over today's distance, when she beat Budakina and Christina Smigun in Val di Fiemme in February 2003. And that was quite a fast time. That was 1:14.29. And I was thinking this morning, in these rather wet, softish conditions, we were probably looking at a race of something like an hour 25.
Yeah, these conditions, we saw it yesterday in the men's 4x10 kilometre. Normally we'd expect around 125, 130, but way over. It was 140.
And up front, Shevchenko in a slightly different uniform. I mean, obviously, she usually wears something which is akin to Ukrainian colours, but has got a different ski suit for this marathon. And moving up, that's Medvedeva of Russia. Now, the Russians, Mike, I was mentioning Chapalova, Zavialova, and the inside track from our Russian colleagues was Medvedeva would clearly be the best, and they were expecting her to finish in the top 10, but they weren't suggesting that she'd get onto the podium.
I think that's a fair comment. And look what happens in this tight pack racing from 4th back to, well, 15th position, and the frustration that causes.
Here you can see up front, it's Shevchenko, and coming through to this next checkpoint, so just over a third of the distance.
You can just see, David, the intent here from Saarinen. She's been in the top 3 positions throughout this race. In her mind, that is she's conditioning herself to say, I'm not going to let this go at any point.
Charlotte Caller would be about 8 seconds off, and with Kristen Styrer and Ariana Follis, Marta Kristoffersen, who happily and hopefully has recovered from the exertions of anchoring the Norwegian team into 4th place in the relay. She was absolutely out completely. 18 coming through there, that's Sabina Valbuza. Valbuza would be comfortable at this sort of distance, and 29, that's Laura Ourg for France. And 42 at the back of that little group, Morgan Aritola of the USA. So Mariana Longer up front, and 2 Kowalczyk. Well, the problem they've all got with Kowalczyk, Mike, is that if she is there or thereabouts, she's got this tremendous strength. But I think they all know a lot about Kowalczyk now.
Well, they do, and that's why, well, Shevchenko, she's decided it's unusual to make such a decisive break after only 10 kilometers. But Shevchenko has thought, nope, this is too slow. I need to up this. I need to try and create a little bit more damage in the rest of the pack. And it absolutely is extending them. It's hurting them all. But is it hurting Shevchenko as well? Probably is.
33 years of age. She's a very seasoned racer. Hails from Kiev, where she's based with the Dynamo Kiev club. But, you know, although there are other Ukrainian racers on the circuit, Mike, she's very much her own team, and has been for quite a while, because she's a complete division ahead of all the other Ukrainian cross-country skiers. 3 Olympic Games, and you know, started her World Championship career back in 1995 in Thunder Bay, but has found it really, really difficult to actually go and get an individual medal, and that's what she's hunting for today. If you remember, it took her a long time to get that one and only World Championship victory in Kusamo.
And it's difficult, well, as you say, if you're a one-man, one-girl show, it's very difficult to keep the motivation. The team spirit is so important, and she has to try and build and create all of that herself. Johaug, just remembering back 2 years ago to Sapporo, where she came to as a very young racer, 18-year-old, to take the bronze medal. She definitely has intent here to get on the podium again.
I just want to correct one thing. Of course, Shevchenko's actually got 4 World Cup victories now. 2 opportunities to change the skis at 11.25 and 18.75.
This is interesting. As you can see, not all the athletes are doing this. You're going to lose 25 to 30 seconds by changing your skis, and I'm not sure it's worthwhile.
Well, it has caused a change up front, as you can see. So Johaug in ahead of Shevchenko. The other point that sticks in my mind about Shevchenko is the Tour de Ski and the big climb.
Yes, she's that was last year especially, where she destroyed the rest of the field by almost 1 minute. We rarely see that over 9 kilometers, but that was largely due to the huge climb.
Shevchenko just dropped back a little bit now into 5th or 6th place as a result of that pit stop change. Well, you can see the Norwegian racers in their red suits there, And up at 11.25 kilometers, it was Johaug from Shevchenko, but now it's Ariana Follis who's come through. And I think that was the right thing to do, Mike, which was to actually let the lead change and let Shevchenko do the donkey work. I can't believe that that's going to profit Follis to be involved. I think her best chance is to absolutely just keep herself quiet and away. And over on the right of your screen, 5, that's Kristin Styrer. So close to getting that gold medal in the double pursuit. And then Johaug.
Audun Schwardal there running up the side. He's the technical coach for the Norwegians and the skating style especially. And that early attack, Mike, it hasn't really broken up the field significantly. Just in that leading group there, Olga Zavialova wearing 27. I mentioned her a few moments ago. She was the woman who won in Val di Fiemme in 2003. And I mean, Zavialova's been around forever, but she picks and chooses her races very, very sparingly. When there's so many World Cup races, you do need to be a little careful. You can, if it's a big team and a big backup, it makes that life easier, but very intelligent, almost like Andras Verpelu for the Estonians. He picks and chooses his races so that he's at his best at the major championships.
I suppose the danger is that we write off the Russians and think, well, they've not done anything at these championships, so why should they do anything now?
30 kilometre, when the longest race we've had this season since the beginning of November, only 15 kilometres. They're racing twice as far as that today, so it's almost for a lot of these athletes not unknown territory. So experienced are these athletes, they've done it before, but when you're not in the mind frame of doing these 30 kilometres that often, it's very different. They will be going through some new painful experiences, depletion. They'll be burning off about 4,000 calories within this 30 kilometre, and of course at plus 6 degrees they need to take in so many fluids.
Just want to hop back to Zavialova, Mike, because as I said, she does race sparing these days, and if you remember, I mean, she appeared in the World Championships in 2003, got the gold medal, actually also got a bronze in the 15-kilometre classic on that occasion. And then in 2007, she's 36 years of age now, so at the age of 34 she came back, picked up the gold medal in the 15 pursuit and the silver over the 10 free, and was 8th in the 30-kilometre classic. Well, 30-kilometre free certainly suits her a lot better, but, you know, she just comes here having set this as her target from way back last spring, all through the summer training, and just to come here and you know, concentrate on trying to get the medal now. Not really interested or involved in the World Cup at all.
Sometimes, especially over this distance, you need to, as we mentioned, pick and choose, save yourself, prepare yourself for this major one. And interestingly, after the relay 2 days ago, Anna Haag was saying, well, now it's all about eating, trying to store and get as many carbohydrates stored in the muscles as possible.
Just trying to move up again there, Mariana Longa. Not looking anywhere near as comfortable, Mike, in this form of racing as she does in a 10 classic time trial.
She has improved the technique. That was her aim in the summer, so she is feeling better. Normally, in previous seasons, we wouldn't have seen her in the lead pack. There's only 12 now in this lead pack.
Yeah, and Charlotte Kaller, Mike, I mean, 7-4 favourite, but, you know, the last time we saw her at 12.75 kilometres, she was the best part of 20 seconds off the pace. Now that is now beginning to be a serious worry, because she's becoming too far detached, and I'm not sure, because we didn't get a check. We don't have a pit stop check, if you know what I mean. I'm not sure whether Kaller changed her skis or not. Now it can work two ways. You can change off a pair of skis because you think they're not that good, and you can change onto another set and only to discover that they're actually worse.
Yeah, it's a touch and go. Normally in this wet and fairly dirty snow, it's all transformed snow now. It's not a bad idea to change your skis. Johaug did it.
There you can see Verpi Koitinen, the 2007 classic champion, just losing time. Neustadt, that's quite interesting. Well, not many German challengers left after the defection of Evie Sackenbacher. That was an enforced defection. But, you know, Neustadt showed good finishing speed coming in to outlunge Charlotte Kaller for the silver medal in the relay, Mike. And if she can stay in touch, she could be a force at the end of this race.
Certainly could be. And of course, Miriam Gosner, the 19-year-old biathlete, she's clearly not used to racing over 30 kilometers, but she was the fastest skate time in the relay for the Germans.
Well, there are things happening now, because what's happening now, Mike, is that the pace is really changing around quite a bit now, because they've had another little injection of energy thanks to Theresa Johaug, who has that very distinctive way of running, but actually can make it quite unrhythmical for everybody else, and she's really broken up the field now.
A lot of damage, and only 51 kilograms body weight on this deep and wet snow. Certainly not a disadvantage for Johaug and Steyr.
Steyr and Johaug, Saarinen in there, still longer. Kowalczyk with the red hat and that familiar dark strip, but also in there Rita-Lisa Ropponen. We haven't talked about her, Mike. I mean, she is a skate expert. That's what she does, and this could also be a race for her. But interestingly, Mike, in that leading group of a dozen, in there, Medvedeva for Russia and also Zavialova. 8 seconds sort of covering them as they come into the stadium at the half distance.
Well, Charlotte Kaller just looking further back down the track at 13.95. It was 22 seconds. It's 33 seconds now in 16th place.
Yeah, and this race is disappearing for her. Clearly something is wrong, and you know, is it fatigue, is it equipment? It's very difficult to tell at this moment. One would think that it might be equipment, because on the evidence of what she showed and how well she was feeling, you'll be quite surprised that she's got detached in this way.
I'm very surprised, especially only 2 days ago over the 5 kilometers. Of course, it's a much shorter distance, but her technique, her equipment, and she said that she was feeling brilliant for the 30.
Antonella Confortola just through the picture there, and again coming out of this stadium on this traditional climb for the last time. The women must be absolutely sick of this, and look who's working her way up into 6th place, Justina Kowalczyk, and that's threatening Shevchenko on the top on the right there, just about vying for the advantage with Kristen Steyr of Norway. So Steyr a length ahead of teammate Theresa Johaug. And these two, Mike, I'm not certain these two haven't had a conversation with each other, because it looks to me, the way they're chopping around and changing, that they are actually forcing the pace by one of them doing a section and the next one taking over on the other sector. And this is becoming a bit of a pattern.
It is, and it is absolutely destroying the rest of the field. Only the toughest of the toughest, and Kowalczyk in black, she's one of them. Up to 50, well, 49 kilometers per hour, and there is another faster hill out there. That is some speed, especially when the legs are totally fatigued. And your skis in this soggy conditions, they really are digging deep when you're pressing around the corners.
Well, I was going to say, Mike, hopefully their legs aren't totally fatigued. Oh, glasses going off there. That was a rip-off from the visor there by Saarinen. That's not a very new piece of technology, Mike, but it's well established now.
It must be frustrating for her to throw that off. When you're skiing so close, we saw it yesterday with Petter Northug, the ski poles do come into your face, so it's always a safer, a better idea to keep glasses on. Yeah,
but what she actually did was it's this strip rip-off on the glasses, where you can actually rip one off and you've got a clean visor.
Oh, I thought she'd throw it off. Very good.
No, it's that new or newish technology where you just rip it off and gives you a clean view.
Perfect. And these, it's the snow coming off the ski poles, and it is frustrating when you get these. It's almost like skiing when it's raining.
Well, this is a bit of an unusual sight, and Virpi Koitinen just probably the best part of 2 minutes down now, Mike.
You can just look at the intensity, it's not there, the aggression, it's not there, the focus, it's gone. So clearly for Koitinen, the body was saying, or the mind was saying yes, but the body was saying absolutely no. And no wonder after all the races she's taken part in here. Not the case for Saarinen, she's on this amazing, brilliant form well, since the beginning of the season, and she's still managing to keep it.
And I don't know whether you think I'm wrong, Mike, but I just sense that these two Norwegians, you know, they've got a plan here, and so far it's working. But it's ominous that Kowalczyk has responded as well for them.
And Shevchenko's playing around at the front there as well. She's certainly not uncomfortable with this, not intimidated by the Norwegians.
Saarinen wearing 1, of course, and Ropinen in there. But Zavialova, 3.3 seconds. Well, maybe our Russian colleagues were selling us a dummy, so to speak, because they've got two racers here who have obviously set their stall out for this race, and in particular Zavialova. And Zavialova, Mike, well, we saw, what was it, Andy Kootel yesterday win the big hill competition. He was a 50-1 outsider, which was quite frankly ridiculous odds. I mean, even if they jumped the second round, I mean, 50-1 was ludicrous. But Zavialova on offer from the bookmakers at 66-1.
When you've got age on your side, you've got experience on your side, and when your name's Zavialova, all the medals and major competitions she's done in her career, 30-kilometre becomes, when I say easier, because you know exactly how you're going to feel at, say, 15 kilometres, and how the mind has to work with the body to get you through the next 15.
And in that group also, Karen Laurent Philippot of France, also another 66-1 shot. But the fact is that 30 kilometers freestyle is the French woman's optimum distance. That's what she works for, that's what she loves to do. And Justyna Kowalczyk just hunting. That's what she's doing at the moment. Very interesting what she did. She won the 10 kilometer gold medal. She won the double pursuit, and then went shopping.
Get your mind and your recovery away from the tracks, and not always a bad idea, as long as you can keep the focus during the battle. And there's only 10 now able to stay with this battle.
Well, I had it, is it 10? Yeah, it is, because Philippot, quite right, Mike, Philippot and Confortola, just looking at the split, in the last kilometre and a half, they were with the pack, and now they've dropped off some 6 or 7 seconds. So that push coming out of the stadium has really accounted for them.
It has. Charlotte Caleb, it's 51 seconds now. Surely this pace though, David, at 44 minutes, I'm not sure this pace can be sustainable. It's like it's almost a 10-kilometre pace they're setting out there.
Well, as I said, I was working out what I thought would be the winning time today, and I had it somewhere like an hour and 25 minutes in these. Oh, longer!
That was Shevchenko. Yes, she got her.
No, sorry, Shevchenko. I beg your pardon.
I think it was Justyna Kowalczyk. She skied over her ski pole, and of course the brakes go on and nearly pulls your arm out.
Ariana Follis now moving up, and it was actually probably, Mike, a fortuitous place to do it. And there you can see she's recovered, actually, Shevchenko, and Kowalczyk now trying to make up the meters.
Look at the intent here at the front, David. Johaug is just... There was a little conversation about 500 metres back between Johaug and Steyr. Steyr clearly didn't want to take the lead at that point, and Johaug is just absolutely destroying this hill. Look at Saarinen, it had to happen sometime. She kept the focus for 15 kilometres. Absolutely time or job done, I think, for Saarinen. She surely can't keep this pace going. It's the first time we've seen Saarinen outside the top 5.
Ropinen also of some interest now, Mike, because she's not done a great deal. So Johaug, Steyr, Shevchenko. Let me go to Ropinen, Mike. 30 years of age, and you know, a contributing member of the Finnish team, who in the World Championships in Sapporo, 7th over the 10-kilometre freestyle race, 5th over the 15-kilometre, and has never really done too much over this sort of distance. But of course, Ropinen really happy to be part of the relay squad and getting a gold medal. That may well have boosted her confidence and boosted her belief. And there, well, that's Charlotte Kaller, and well, it looks more like plodding than skiing at the moment.
Sadly, it looks like a 30-kilometer distance training session for Charlotte Kaller. What a pity. Shapalova, too much for her as well. She stayed with it for 10, but she's way off the pace now.
Yeah, it's interesting though, Mike. I think she's getting the gap down, and we need to have a look at that. Maybe I'll whiz back in a moment and just see. I think she may have stabilised the gap, Shapalova.
Interesting. The two Norwegians, absolutely right. They are working together. They're grinding continually to try and get rid of Saarinen, I think. Medvedeva's still there. Shevchenko's still there. And of course, Kowalczyk. Who else? She would only be in the top 5 at this stage. Follis pushing hard. Ropinen's there. Well, relentless. Absolutely relentless. And surely at this pace, some of the 10 in this 10 of the toughest, they're going to hit the wall, the proverbial wall, where the body just hits that fatigue level, and you're changing from the supplies, the stores in your muscles.
And this is the second and last opportunity to change the kit. Just interestingly, at the half distance, Mike, Shapalova was just under a minute off the pace, so she hasn't lost a lot of time. You know, I've just got a funny feeling that maybe she's going to cut back. I'm not suggesting she's going to come back and win this race, but interesting because this is very much her comeback season, and it's a season in which she's got to make her mark if she's going to be kept in the squad for Vancouver.
That is so true. Well, Saarinen changed, of course. Johaug changed, Steyr changed, but again the Italians didn't. Follis and Longa, they've skied now almost 20 kilometers without changing their skis.
Obviously very happy. I mean, the Italians have said all the way through that they're pretty satisfied with the work that the service team have done. And as you say, through 18.75 kilometers up the hill now, and Teresa Johaug ahead of Shevchenko, Steyr in the group, and Steyr it is who's making a move, and Teresa Johaug making the move, Steyr just back in the pack. So this is where the team rules seem to have been abandoned.
Unbelievable that. There's Saarinen. She changed the skis the previous time at 11 kilometers. That's now the second change, and no more changes after that one. But Johaug, she took 24 seconds to change her skis, and by the top of the hill, she's at the front again.
Well, Mike, the only thing I can think of as far as Teresa Johaug is concerned is that she's really got to make this break pay, and well, there it is, Shapalova coming out 137.7, but that loss of time may well be due to a change of skis rather than skiing. It was 119, and now it's 137.
And well, Nystadt there, she wasn't really in a hurry even to change her skis, but she'll certainly feel better with a faster glide now. Does Johaug, from this distance out, is she going to keep pressing to try and take the gold medal? I think she is.
I think this is what she's got to do now, having made that advantage and tried to get away. But I suspect, Mike, that this story is far from over. Look at Kowalczyk gathering the leaders in. Okay. Well, apologies for the momentary loss of sound. Let's just bring you up to date there. One or two technical problems at our end here. You might have had some distorted sound, but I can tell you, as you can see there, Aina Kaiser Saarinen, who is up front there and has reeled in, as you see, Teresa Juhaug and Shevchenko, and it's all back to a group of 10. And in that 10, from the bottom upwards, so to speak, Saviolova and Medvedeva at the back for Russia. Just in front of them, Mariana Longa, then Roppanen of Finland, Ariana Follis of Italy, Kristin Styra of Norway, Kowalczyk of Poland, Shevchenko for the Ukraine, Teresa Juhaug and Aino Kaiser Saarinen bidding for a 4th gold medal to go with the 3 golds and the bronze. Mike Dixon together with myself, David Goldstrom, just under 10,000 metres to go, Mike, and now we know that the gold medal is going to go to one of these 10.
Absolutely. I did say earlier that Saarinen, she was 6 seconds off and she looked exhausted. This change of skis seems to have given her a complete and utter new lease of life, and that happens. You've got something to attach yourself to, thinking, right, my skis are now as good as they can be. I've got to stay with this fight. She wants that gold medal, maybe more than any of the rest.
But I just wonder, Mike, whether, you know, racers like Saviolova and Medvedeva, whether, you know, staying out of it and not doing anything, not getting involved and just conserving their energy for the final battle, whether that's actually going to be really worthwhile. At the moment, just looking at the back there, slightly worrying. I think was Mariana Longa beginning to show the signs of the race, beginning to affect her.
Well, this race, it's had a strange personality. We've still got 10 attached, and there's been surges, there's been changes of pace, there's been the 2 Norwegians working together, Styra and Juhaug.
It's Medvedeva wearing 14 ahead of Aino Kaiser Saarinen, and then just behind Ariana Follis, I think it is. And you can just see how grueling these conditions are. What is really good, this is where you need the fans to really urge you on. Look at those Polish flags on the left there. Strategically, the Polish fans have been there to give Kowalczyk the boost she needs, and Kowalczyk now beginning to play a part and now putting the pressure on.
Now, if the coaches are passing the information on, they'll be telling the lead, of course, Kowalczyk and the 2 Norwegians, that on the steepest of climbs, Saarinen is losing 2 or 3 seconds each time. So if they're going to make their attack, it has to be on the steep, this and the other, the second steepest of climbs.
Saviolova detached now by some 4 or 5 seconds off the back, and there were 10, now effectively there are 9. Medvedeva, though, for Russia, still in there in about 4th or 5th position.
Didn't see who that was, but a pretty bad place to fall at this stage of the race. It could well have been Shevchenko.
That's what I thought, actually, Mike. Looked to be Shevchenko, because up front we can see the 2 Norwegians, Styra and then Juhaug, being led by Kowalczyk. Well, that's no surprise. Then Medvedeva, then Saarinen, and then there's a break again.
Well, I think we said with 10 to go it'll be Kowalczyk. Well, she's left it to about 7 to go. She's at the front for the first time since 2 kilometres.
Now, of course, Styra was in a battle with Kowalczyk for the gold and silver medal in the double pursuit. So it'll be quite interesting to know what is in Kristin Styra's mind. What has she thought through to decide how she might beat Kowalczyk this time?
Well, I would say she needs to go out the final climb at 1.5 kilometres back to the stadium. She needs, I think, at that point to try and break the Polish athlete. These corners are becoming more rutted, deeper as you kick out on your outside leg.
Well, I was thinking, does she just sit there, do very little, and then, you know, try and go for it on the sprint? But the reality is, if you think back to the World Cup this season, we've seen Kowalczyk as a very successful sprinter, actually on the podium. So that tactic may not work either. But here comes Saarinen. Saarinen going up onto the shoulder of Kowalczyk. And this is this crucial right-hand turn when it comes to the business end of the race. We're not there yet, but when it does, having that sharp turn into the finish straight there, that's what's going to matter most. And Styra looks very good to me at the moment.
So smooth, certainly technically in this whole group, one of the best. The athlete impressing me, you mentioned her earlier, in 5th place now, Medvedeva. She's taken on none of the work. Maybe just saving that for the final 5 kilometers, maybe even the final 2.5. 7.5 to go.
Kristin Styrer for Norway, 27 years of age, and Norway at the top of the medal table. 4 gold medals, all of them coming in the cross-country phase. 4 golds, 3 silvers, 3 bronze, numerically 10 medals ahead of the United States, Finland and Italy in the overall table. 7,500 meters to go now. And we have 9 racers now. Mariana Longa connected back in the field. Shevchenko, if it was Shevchenko, Mike, she's now recaptured her position, which makes me, the headband is deceptive because it was definitely a racer from distance who had a headband, and that's why I think both of us may have got called out there. So Mike, out of the top 9, the 2 racers, well, there are 3 racers who haven't done anything, so to speak. They haven't really got involved. One, of course, you pointed out, is Medvedeva. The second one is Rita-Lisa Ropponen, wearing bib number 10. The third one really is Ariana Follis, the sprinter, who I, said pretty early on, if she can be there or thereabouts, she is the world sprint champion, full of confidence. Could she be the racer to deny, for example, Saarinen her 4th gold medal?
Well, I remember when Sandra Spitz interviewed Follis at the end of the sprint races. She said it was clear all the way I was going to stay in 2nd place and make it count in the final sprint. And Follis, typical Italian tactics, they don't want to take on much of the work early on. It's a long way, 30 kilometers. Yes. And she's kept herself very safe, very comfortable at the back of the danger, if you like, or the pace setting.
Yeah, just sitting in, actually, behind Saarinen. And there's Styrer, Johaug. Longa just at the back of that little group now. 4, 8, 9. Well, 9 women hunting for 3 medals.
Saarinen very, very nearly fell there on the first of the left-handers. Her weighting was wrong. Her weight was slightly back and very nearly put her backwards.
Well, this is Mike going to make for a very exciting finish if it stays like this. Because at the moment, none of them seem particularly likely to get away. There are enough of them, and that's probably the difficulty, Mike. If one makes a break, there are so many in that pack that it's going to be very difficult for one racer alone to get away, because there are enough there to work together to haul the breakaway back.
And the chasers have been working together. And I think we're going to see soon, David, they spin back round to the right there in the far distance. Chicanes left and right, but coming up the hill that we see on the right hand side of the screen, I'm quite sure we're going to see the Norwegians really upping the tempo.
So Kowalczyk in that traditional hunch. Medvedeva getting involved now, really getting involved, going up front rank. So clearly Yevgeny Medvedeva, obviously things are good, and not only are they good, Mike, clearly the Russian ski technicians have got it right today for Medvedeva. From St. Petersburg, in her early 30s, and Medvedeva very much a championship racer, Olympic bronze medalist in the pursuit. Back in 2006, behind Neumanova of the Czech Republic, of course, and in the World Championships, yet to get a medal.
Just looking in this lead group, 2 Finns, 2 Norwegians, 2 Italians, 1 Pole and 1 Ukrainian. Some lapped athletes now, and that's 7 kilometers unwound. Well, the pace has settled a little, David, with the final part of this race still to run.
Yeah, a couple of legs, and Merlin Pitzin of Brazil has been lapped, so she's been asked to step aside. And the 9 who are left, well, you can see they're separated on the clock by just a couple of seconds, that would be. So Norway lead, Poland in the silver medal position at the moment, Russia in bronze.
This is, I think, the calm before the storm. Very, very soon one of these athletes surely is going to take it on to try and make an absolute decisive break. It will be shaded, but then you have to keep the break going. You have to keep the pressure on. Mariana Longa just getting detached at the end.
Yeah, Follis towards the back of the group there. And you just sense, Mike, that something is about to happen now. This is maybe a moment. And Kowalczyk, look at the way her skis were gliding in there. So that was so easy for her.
Well, she's got the same waxman as Katarina Neumanova used to use. He knows his stuff, and they're certainly gliding well today.
We should just mention one or two others. Zavialova, 26 seconds off the pace in 10th place. Perja Moranen, who was up there right at the beginning of the race, 35 seconds off. Karin Laurent-Philippot, 52 seconds back. Marta Kristoffersen also a similar distance behind. And Antonella Confortola a minute behind. And Charlotte Kaller almost 2 minutes off the pace. And travelling at the same pace as Liz Steven of the United States. Yulia Chapalova, 2 minutes and 10 seconds back. And Sabina Valbuza, 2:11 off the pace. So it has been hot all the way. I don't think we expected, as you explained, Mike, for it to be quite this hot, but it has absolutely destroyed a field which started out with some 69 competitors from 25 nations, and we're now down to 9 contenders.
Well, this is where it's going to happen. The strongest of the strong can do damage on this big climb, and it's Kowalczyk. Who else?
But remember, Mike, they've still got to go out on one more lap. And that one more lap has the hardest of the hills to come, and that's about 1.5 kilometers from home. So this is not over yet. If you can stay here now, then you have a chance to probably stay in for that final big climb.
You have, I think, with Ariana Follis now separated by 6 seconds. Her skis are good. She might pull that back on the backside, the downhill segment after the top of this hill, but slightly worrying for the Italians. 6 seconds and 7.2 behind.
So here you can see the damage, that pressure, and it wasn't really a break, it was just pressure that was put in there. That's Zavialova wearing number 27, and right in front of her there looked to be Zavialova was certainly. I was just trying to work out who was in front of Zavialova. I'll work it out in a minute.
It's Moranen.
Moranen, yeah. Moranen, who's overtaken her.
She did so well for so long, but when you hit the wall, and that has happened for Moranen, it's going to be very painful from this point on.
Yeah, but in a sense, Mike, she's done exactly what you said. She's hit the wall, but now got through it.
If she has, great credit to her. But look at this. It's blistering. It's hot at the front.
It was 9, and now it's 6. Just 6 of them now in there. And just about 4,750 meters to go, and these loops are 3,700 and a bit, so into the stadium for the penultimate time. So we've got Medvedeva in second place, then you've got the 2 Norwegians in there, Johaug and Steyr, and still Shevchenko and Saarinen. Sorry, Mike.
So, yeah, Saarinen, she's like a limpet today. She's not going to let anything go, and if she does, it's only by 3 seconds, at the most 4, but she catches them back on the easier terrain.
And Follis, as you rightly said, off by 6 seconds. Trying to look for Ropponen, who wears bib number 10 for Finland, just off the back there. And here we go. Next time around, it'll be over to the right and sprinting for the medals, Mike.
It will be. That's the right-hand turn. We saw Kowalczyk, there she is in black, bib number 2. We saw her in the double pursuit, just leaving the right timing to go wide and take the lead, take the gold medal in the double pursuit. Ahead of this girl, Steyr, here in red, bib 6.
Kowalczyk is one of the best all-rounders not just individually in any distance, Mike. The thing that really impresses me as Medvedeva takes to the front is Kowalczyk's ability. She is a better skater these days, and I think probably her parents are now becoming quite excited. Her mother, Janina, who's a teacher, her father, Joseph, brother Tomek, who's a doctor, and she's got sisters Viola and Ilona, and they, I think, will be looking to see whether Justina can get this second gold medal.
This is Saarinen. She was looking unstable. She was getting in the way of people. She's panicking now with a broken ski pole. She has to make contact very quickly, close this damage down.
That was pretty risky by the serviceman there, because he came right across Mariana Longa.
Now the rest of the pack need to react to this if they want to try and make some impression or create some damage on Saarinen. Well,
that did no favours whatsoever to young Teresa Juhaug either. As you can see, completely stopped in her tracks, momentum gone, and Lisa Ropponen of Finland taking full advantage and going up into the front four. Mariana Longa there, almost inconvenienced, and here you can see what's happened, Mike, as a result of all of that. That's where you need a coach to give you a shout and tell you what's going on behind.
Absolutely. I'm not sure that the leaders were aware of that incident, but Saarinen now, it's all about trying to close this gap. If she doesn't close it quickly, it's the end of her challenge for another gold medal.
Now, interesting, Ropponen in fourth place there for Finland, just shadowing Kowalczyk. Medvedeva's dropped down into second place, and it's Styra who leads the way, and Shevchenko just trying to join on the end here. She might well just about get there. It was 10, then it was 9, and now it's 5 with almost +1 to make 6.
What can Saarinen do? This is going to be the ultimate test of her ability to... I think she's going to make it back. Saarinen is totally and utterly pushing the pace here. If the leaders look back and just try to press now to get rid of Saarinen, it's their only chance, I think.
Rita-Lisa Ropponen looking pretty good, and there's Saarinen going through, and also Ariana Follis, who's been shadowing her pretty well the whole way, and maybe Follis has got to make a different decision, because Follis, if she's waiting for Saarinen to connect and she doesn't, her chance, whatever that may be, will have gone. Medvedev just has a little look over there. Rita-Lisa Ropponen goes silver. Kowalczyk in the bronze medal position. Then it's Styra over on the left there. It's Shevchenko. Right, it's Teresa Juhaug. And what a race now. And now Kowalczyk starts to get involved again. Juhaug, just she is known as the Duracell rabbit. Got the most fantastic engine, that young woman.
It's all about tempo now. Well, look at that Saarinen. That's a very impressive performance. She's back on this lead group already.
And has she brought Ariana Follis with her? Not quite, Mike. Ariana Follis just a little bit off the pace at the moment. She couldn't mount an attack from there. And look at Shevchenko put in the effort. On the near side, Shevchenko now in just about 5th place. And Follis's rhythm just at the back there, it's stuttering, it's staccato, it's not fluent, and she's finding this pretty difficult. And Mike, the biggest problem for Follis is to stay with them on that final big climb.
And then the second problem, how do you get through this pack? Saarinen's managed to get out, well, quarter of the way through the pack with 2.1 to go.
And Mariana Longa's chances there, she is number 3. Her chances evaporating now, as Justina Kowalczyk goes to the front. And this is what we expected, Mike, as you approach the last big climb, that Kowalczyk's going to be in the firing line. Medvedeva with on her inside the Norwegian Teresa Juhaug up there, and Saarinen. What a race.
Fantastic race. Follis, we mentioned Follis, she looks smooth. I know she becomes a little detached on the hills, but she seems to pull that back on the downhill segments, the flatter, the easier segments. And into the finish, you've got to say that Follis is going to be one of the most dynamic in the last 400.
Juhaug is absolutely amazing. You have to remember, Mike, she's 20 years of age. In Sapporo, when she was 18, she got the bronze medal in that 30 classic race. She was junior world champion in the mass start over 10 kilometers freestyle. She also got a 5 kilometer junior world gold, and that was only in 2008. I mean, she is just amazing.
She's outstanding. And there's Medvedeva, 32-year-old. Well, she's in 4th position now. When Medvedeva went to the front, it slowed down a little, and that allowed Saarinen slightly easier chance to make contact with the lead group again.
Yeah, don't worry, it isn't snowing. That's just snow coming off the camera track. And you can see Aina Kaiser Saarinen and Rita-Lisa Ropperden, Mike, still, you know, she's still there or thereabouts, wearing 10, just drop back a little bit, and Shevchenko alongside her. Saarinen now beginning to gather herself, I think, to make sure that she's in the right place at the right time. So here we go. This is the last big climb, and Kowalczyk's about to apply pain.
Prepare for pain, they certainly all are. They know that the black suits at the front, she covers so much distance, the tempo isn't as much as well. Certainly Juhaug behind her. We might even see a break up this hill, David. The pressure is it's damaging the rest, and once again Saarinen, she loses the 3 seconds on the climb. Shevchenko's deciding to go wide.
Yeah, again, a very good power to weight ratio, Shevchenko, and beginning to try and get into it. Medvedeva, and just look at the way they're racing here. Justina Kowalczyk has got them bent double.
She has. What a pity for Saarinen. You know, the energy she used from picking that ski pole up to pulling the group back. I'm not saying she's out of it by any measure at all, Saarinen, but look at Kowalczyk.
Yeah, she's just stormed away and has now opened up, 5-6 meters. Now, the important thing, Mike, is when she gets to the top, she's got to really take all the pace that she's got and come down that side into the downhill, because there's one more dip and climb before she gets into the stadium.
She is amazing. For Justina Kowalczyk to apply that much pressure, it's destroyed the rest of the pack. So clearly she's in first, but can her legs keep her stable round the tight bends?
But look at that advantage that she's opened up now, and here comes Juhaug leading the chase from Medvedeva, Shevchenko, and then it's Kristin Styrer. And if Kowalczyk has gone for good, Mike, that's the gold medal decided. But look at the way that wearing bib number 7 there, Shevchenko wants this World Championship medal. It's one of the things that she's never achieved, but this would be vindication for her. And Kowalczyk looks as if she's just started the race.
Beyond belief, the strength of this woman is quite phenomenal. To apply this much pressure, this much pain on the rest, and it's absolutely hurting her.
But this is exactly what she should do. That is professional racing, because she's completely disheartening the rest.
She totally is, and look who's detached now, Saarinen. I thought she might be able to stay with this group, but her earlier pace change after the ski pole snapped, it really has damaged her.
Well, Valentina Shevchenko has gone into the silver medal position. Yevgeny Medvedeva has actually taken the 3rd position. Then Styrer, who's got past Teresa Juhaug. Maybe all those exertions and unrhythmical attacks by Juhaug are beginning to take the toll as they come round now and drive up now towards the stadium complex. They are not going to catch Justina Kowalczyk. The Polish flags are waving, and everybody knows that there's going to be another double gold medalist at these World Championships. She won the pursuit, the final 100. This is what you want to see if you're a racer. Nobody in front of you and all your fans around you. The great thing now is the sprint for the finish for the places here, and there are 4 of them going for 3 places behind. Kowalczyk, she takes the gold medal in the 30 kilometers. Who gets the silver? Medvedeva and Shevchenko. Also Styrer in there. Medvedeva takes the silver for Russia ahead of Kristin, ahead of Shevchenko, and then Styrer and Juhaug are left out of it in 4th and 5th, and Ropperden 6th.
Whoa, what a race. Juhaug and Styrer, they did so much of the early pace. The first 21 kilometers, they were barely off the front, and that's what's kept them off the top 3 at the end.
Well, I tell you what, that's good news for the Russians. There is Yevgeny Medvedeva. Well, the bronze medal in the Olympics, now she's got a silver from the Worlds, and Shevchenko has got her first ever World Championship medal. Sorry, I'm croaking a bit, but actually, you know, Mike, I mean, to work for so many years, and it has been for Shevchenko, to get that medal, I mean, that is her gold medal.
It's just absolutely brilliant. And the way that Kowalczyk, as soon as she could walk, well, she ran over to congratulate, of course, the Ukrainian Shevchenko. She deserves that. She's tried so hard for so many years, and now she's got the bronze medal.
Yeah, the closest Shevchenko's ever got to a medal was the 7th place she achieved some 6 years ago in Val di Fiemme in this race over 30 kilometers freestyle, and now here she is in the bronze medal position, and just kept out Johaug and Steyr and Roppanen and Saarinen in 7th and Follis in 8th, and longer Moranen, actually a decent performance, 1 minute and 13 seconds off, and Filippo. Marta Kristoffersen in 12th place, Mike, after that really grueling relay to finish in 12th place, 1 minute 41. She's 19 years of age. That is an indication of what sort of racer she is growing up to be.
Yeah, the disappointment she didn't quite make it to the podium for the Norwegian girls, but that is a good performance.
Zabielova in 13th place. I think the difference between now and 2003 for Zabielova, apart from 6 years, Mike, is the style of racing. You know, that sort of attack race right from the start was not the fashion of the day in 2003.
No, it wasn't. Normally we see the first 7.5 kilometers at least very slow, very tactical, but it was just sharp and difficult from 3.
And if you remember, you know, it was around that time that, you know, mass-start racing was being introduced, and we tended to get this clump and then a final sprint, you know, with an awful lot of people involved. But now the whole art of mass-start racing is beginning to mature, and people are finding different tactics.
Yes, and the two Norwegians, I do feel for them. Johaug and Steyr, they worked so hard to break the field early, and it hasn't worked for them. 4th and 5th position for the Norwegians.
And Charlotte Kalla down in 18th place, ahead of her Yatskaya of the Kazakh team.
The only German racing, Nystad, 23rd, 3 minutes 19 off.
So Kowalczyk for Poland, Medvedeva for Russia, Valentina Shevchenko for the Ukraine, Teresa Johaug, the best for Johaug, the best Norwegian in 4th place, ahead of Steyr, her teammate. Roppanen, the first Finn home, ahead of Saarinen and Italy's Ariana Follis. Mariana Longa, brave attempt there in 9th place. Perja Moranen in the top 10. Then France, Laurent Philippot, excellent, ahead of Kristoffersen of Norway, and Zabielova, Hug and Confortola completing the top 15. And just looking a little further down, Mike, Elizabeth Stephen for the United States in company there with Charlotte Kalla. And although she's a good 2 minutes and 42 seconds off the pace, there's a definite move forward here from the American team. American who actually at the age of 22 has been showing up pretty well in the junior ranks. Hasn't actually got a medal, but she's finished in the top 10 in the Junior World Championships a couple of years ago, and is based over in Europe in Montpellier, which obviously makes her racing experience much more easy. She can actually get a better barometer of racing by being based over in Europe. But Kowalczyk, Mike, I think we ought to give full appreciation to her, because she is, she is, without any question, the #1 distance racer in the world.
Totally, she destroyed an amazing pack here, but I think we have to have sympathy with Saarinen. Had she not broken that ski pole with 4 kilometers to go, things may well have been different, and Saarinen now in 7th position.
And there, Jumbaeva of Russia, about 5 minutes off the pace. She destroyed everybody in the Marathon World Cup last season. But Justyna Kowalczyk, she is a very, very bright young woman, as well as a really talented cross-country skier. And we're seeing her mature now, Mike. Now she's beginning to pick and choose and not race everything. And she realizes that, you know, she can't, you know, go after everything. Saarinen has gone after everything. Remember, Kowalczyk has not done that. You know, she went out in the relay for the Polish team, who eventually finished an incredible 5th. But she's, you know, she measured herself very cleverly right the way through.
She has indeed, and I'm just, my memory takes me back to the Olympic Games 2006, and Kowalczyk tried, as we saw here, to destroy the field with surges and breaking the rest of the field on the big uphill climbs. Her skis weren't that good back then, and she eventually crossed the line in bronze medal position. And today she's her stature, her self-confidence, it's much improved, and she has the ability now to break the rest of the field, no problem. And Medvedeva, that's a great performance from the 32-year-old, and the Russians need this, a silver medal. They've already got a bronze in the men's.
Yeah, that was from Morilov in the sprint. But, well, let's look back. Saarinen opened up and she won the 10-kilometer classic race. But in that, Justyna Kowalczyk took the bronze medal behind Mariana Longa. And then, of course, we went to the pursuit, where it was sort of roles reverse, where the pursuit gold went to Kowalczyk. And that double pursuit victory of Kowalczyk's really set her up for the rest of the week. Took a break, beat Saarinen into 3rd place, Mariana Longa into 4th, and then it came to the classic sprint relay. Of course, she wasn't involved in that, left that aside. That gave her her break, then came back to help the Polish women in the 4x5 kilometer classic relay. In fact, they finished a very creditable 6th. I think I said 5th just a couple of moments ago. But when you consider that they were within 20 seconds of the Italians, that just shows the progress that the Polish squad and the Polish women's team in particular are beginning to make.
Look at that. She had enough strength just to raise her hands across the line, and the legs, the whole body is completely drained for Kowalczyk. Well done, Medvedeva.
Well, Poland have now got 2 gold medals and a bronze medal, and they owe it all to Justyna Kowalczyk. Here's the finish here. You can see Medvedeva and Shevchenko coming across the line ahead of Juhaug and Steyr. And Medvedeva absolutely delighted, because she and Shevchenko, well, lifetime's ambitions, well, certainly partially achieved. Obviously they were going for gold, but at least they're on the podium. And look at this for sportsmanship. That is really nice to see. Finally, I've cracked it. And you know, Shevchenko's been around for a lot longer than Kowalczyk. Still they come home.
Good result there from the New Zealander. 9 minutes behind, 43rd position at the World Championships.
Well, relatively.
From a country that you know, we don't often see them on the racing tracks at the World Cups.
Yulia Chapalova, Mike. Charlotte Kalla, 2:46 behind. Sabina Valbuza, 2:51 behind for Italy. Yulia Chapalova, 2:54 behind. So there are 1 or 2 out there who are going to have to think about this. And what they're going to have to think about, Mike, is this style of attack racing that has been predominant throughout the last 10 days here, is that something which is just a one-off at these championships, or something that's going to be employed in Vancouver next year?